Hi, today's video is going to be all about chemical reactions. So the title of our notes today is going to be Chemical Reactions. And basically, there are two types of chemical reactions possible. Either you have a large molecule that you break down into smaller pieces, or you have small pieces that you bring together to make a larger molecule. So those are the only two possibilities for chemical reactions. So we're going to name them and describe them. The first type is when you have two pieces and you bring them together to make a bigger piece. So you're building up a molecule. And so all molecules are built up at some point, and then they also get, degraded at some point too. But first we're going to talk about building them up. So when you build them up, this is called a dehydration reaction. Okay, and so this is when you have small pieces. Sometimes these small pieces are called monomers. And put them together to make a larger molecule. And sometimes the larger molecule is called a polymer. Okay, and so for example, let's say we have piece A and we add that to piece B, and then a chemical reaction occurs to bring A and B together, and now we have a larger molecule, which is AB. Okay, so I'm going to draw kind of a generic molecule to demonstrate this. Okay, so let's say that we have a carbon ring. Okay, and so this is how sometimes you can draw a carbon ring. In this ring, what this means is that every bend in every corner, so every bend is representing a carbon, and each carbon is attached to another carbon. Okay, and that carbon is attached to that carbon and that carbon. And so a lot of times in biology, you have these carbon rings. Each carbon is also attached to hydrogens and oxygens. I'm not filling it all in because I don't want to have a big messy picture, and this is just a generic molecule. So let's say this carbon here is attached to an O, which is attached to an H. Okay, and then this carbon here is attached to an oxygen and also a hydrogen. And so an OH is a common side group, which is called hydroxyl. You don't have to know that, but just, for your own knowledge, an OH is called a hydroxyl group. So let's say this carbon has a hydroxyl group and this carbon has a hydroxyl group. And then let's say we have another one of these. So we have another carbon molecule, and I'm just drawing one simple ring. It could be this large, very large thing, but I'm just keeping it simple for our purposes. And so here's a hydroxyl group here, and then we have another hydroxyl group, so OH, okay? Okay, so we have these two carbon rings that have hydroxyl groups attached to them. And what can happen is that this hydrogen will come off, and this OH will come off and join together to make water. So we have this hydrogen here and that OH here, and now we have two hydrogens and an oxygen, which makes water. So a water is being removed. When the water is removed, then this oxygen will bind to this carbon right here, to this carbon ring. Okay, and so then what we get is this chemical reaction will result in a carbon ring with a hydroxyl group. And then this carbon is attached to the oxygen, which is then attached to the next carbon ring. Okay, and then here's the other hydroxyl group. Plus, we have water also that has been removed from the molecules. And so this is why it is called a dehydration reaction, because you are removing water. And now you have two separate carbon rings to one big molecule that has two carbon rings in it. So two pieces to one piece is called a dehydration reaction. Okay, the opposite of that is called a hydrolysis reaction. So this is the second type, hydrolysis. And a hydrolysis reaction is when you have a large molecule and you break it down into the smaller pieces. So when you have a large molecule, or otherwise known as a polymer, and it gets broken down into small pieces. Okay, and those are called monomers. So in other words, let's say we have the molecule AB, and so this is just the reverse of what I had up there. And now we're going to break that down so you have A plus B. So you had one piece, which is AB, and now you have two pieces, which is A plus B. Okay, and I'm going to draw the reverse for you. So what we're going to start off with is our molecule with the 2 carbon rings. So here is one carbon ring that has 6 carbons in it. It's attached to an oxygen, which is attached to another carbon ring. And then we have our hydroxyl groups on each end. And then a chemical reaction, a hydrolysis reaction is going to occur. And what's going to happen is we're going to have a water molecule break this bond where the oxygen is and embed itself back into the two and make them into 2 pieces. So you're going to have water come in here. Okay, it's going to go in here and break the bond. So water breaks the bond. Oops, the bond. And this is why it's called hydrolysis. So hydro means water and lysis means to break. So basically it's just water breaking the bonds. And so then what we end up with is we have the bond broken in between the 2 pieces. So we have the O stays here, and then the H from the water is going to join that oxygen. Okay. And then we have a hydroxyl group here that was always here. Plus we have a separate piece, so they've been separated. This is our carbon ring with our hydroxyl group. And then on this side, the OH from the water is going to come here. So the hydroxyl group is going to come from the water molecule. And so now what we have is we had one piece, it got broken down because of water, and now we've got 2 pieces. Okay, so that's it. Okay, see you guys next time.